Hey guys, ClintDarden.com, and of course the House of Biceps. Alright, I'm here at the House of Biceps. Got my new metal jack canvas suit on. This is my second time using it here. Used it once in the USA this summer just before I headed out. I have always squatted ace on ace, which seems to be kind of a big no-no for a lot of people. That was the thing when the ace gear came out. Everybody said, oh, you gotta have some really light briefs if you want to squat with that ace suit on. I went ace on ace and I've never had any problems. Put up really big numbers. Box squat 957 here in this rack with no knee wraps and straps down to a lower box than what I'm squatting currently. Got the canvas suit. This was really what I wanted. Exact same size as my ace suit. Exact same size. I think its size is very similar. This is a 58, which is exactly what I had. Had a lot of questions, so I want to go ahead and throw a couple of answers out there, and then every week or so try to answer a few more of your questions. Some big ones is this a lot stronger than the ace? I think, let me see, let me get the straps up. I think once you get it on, and if the ace is an 80% difficulty to get on, this is like an 85 to 90% difficulty to get on. Just because it's stiff and it doesn't seem to want to expand as much. It doesn't want to bend as much, but it's not like the old poly gear that you had to kind of spread on your body to get it on. I think probably the difficulty and the benefit is all this material from right here to right here. It is very stiff and it doesn't want to let you bend at all. And it is baggy. I see a lot of times I've watched people squat in canvas gear. It does seem baggy here. I don't know if this gives me rooms for Big Macs or what this is, but it has not affected me negatively at all. I size all my gear big, and I think, well, that answers one of your questions. A lot of people ask, is canvas for a beginner, novice, or intermediate lifter, or is it only for advanced? I think all gear is for everybody. What I will say is that there is a fairly narrow margin of what you have to hit in this suit, technique-wise. It might actually be bigger than the ace, if I'm being honest, because sometimes with poly gear, it wants to make you do this number as you go down, because it kind of has a groove, but that groove is almost vibrational, where this has kind of one groove, and it's that groove that it doesn't want to let you go in. That's what you have to hit. So when you're squatting and you set up, there's a spot in that suit that it does not want to let you hit, and that's the spot that you got to hit, and you got to trust it, and you don't squat deeper than what your suit will allow you. So, I mean, that's, looking here, that's roughly my squat stance. I've got it a little bit loose, but when you add the belt, it actually pulls everything down and it gets a little bit tighter. As I go down, I have to stick in that groove, you know, with the knees out. With the bar on my back, I'm more upright. The suit tends to benefit for someone squatting a little more upright, or it forces you to squat upright. Not a bad thing, as I tend to lose my arch when I squat. So I think it's not the gear or the type of gear that you have that makes it a beginner, novice, intermediate, or advanced suit. I think it's how tight you get it. If you get a super tight suit, you have no room to grow at all. If you lose a bunch of weight, give the sucker away and then buy you something new in celebration. But buy your suit big, that way your margin for error is also big. You can always tighten the straps. With the canvas, I'll talk about this in a second, it's got Velcro straps on the side of the leg. It's got poly on the side, which stretches a little bit. But if you right off the bat get a suit that is powerlifting competition tight, you better know what the heck you're doing right off the bat. Or you can get it sized one full size too big, or two sizes too big. That's kind of a stretch. And grow and have a much larger margin of error. And you can see, you know, I've got the straps on and I can still shove my fingers under there, and I've got briefs on underneath as well. I've got my Ace briefs on, and I can get my fingers under my Ace briefs as well, and I can still squat some pretty big weights. And if I went to a powerlifting competition, I could still compete and do my best numbers. I can still use this to help me for strongmen. I can still use this for fun in all of my general training. I can still hit depth. I can still tighten the straps down, tighten the Velcro, and make it a world of struggle to make 700 pounds hit depth as well, especially if I'm arching back hard and making everything tight instead of somewhat loose like a lot of the dynamic effort work that you see me doing. So this is definitely, you can't make newbie mistakes like buying it way too tight. Those are the same mistakes that intermediate and novice lifters make as well. But an advanced lifter will buy the suit that will fit them the way they want it to fit. I go back to listening to some old Chad X interviews where he's talking about what squatting some of his all-time best, like 1200 at the Arnold, and he put on his suit, and it was just, he just stepped right into it, and still squatted like 1200 pounds, or something insane like that. So it's not necessarily the suit, the quality, or that you have to have it super tight. It's knowing how to use that suit, and I think buying loose gear is the way to go. So what are these Velcro straps all about? I didn't think it was much of anything because I gain and lose weight rapidly. So right off the bat, the first thing I did when I put this thing on was I grabbed them and I cinched them down as tight as I possibly could. So I could grab it. And I was leaning against the rack to get these down even tighter, sucking my legs in to get them tighter. And the first thing that I did, I don't want to play with this other leg, the first thing I did when I went down is it threw me all over the place, and once again it made that margin for error very, very small. I could not hit depth, and I began having to round my shoulders forward to do any kind of squats. I rounded, knees went forward, knees went in. So immediately I loosened all of them, specifically the middle one, where I really felt it digging into my leg, and I was able to squat with proper technique, with 3 plates on the bar, 4 plates on the bar, and hit the depth that I wanted to hit in training. And as I got a little bit heavier, I found that I could tighten the top one first to give me a little more compression near the hip, and then I could tighten the bottom one a little bit, and then when it came for a max lift, I tightened the middle one. So it's not going to get a lot tighter, but it is going to squeeze a little bit. It is going to compress. I can definitely feel it's tighter than it was before I did that. And going along the same line, it has this polyester material. I'm trying to get some much better video for you guys soon. The polyester material allows a little bit of stretch, allows a little bit of bend, and I think that makes a difference. It is very nice to have that poly material, so I can have a little more bend this way. I can have a little bit of bend. It is going to stretch in case I force a few thousand extra Big Macs in this area, and all that extra flex is really going to add up. So where does this suit need to be tight? I think the hips are going to be the important thing. You need it to be snug on your hips. I wouldn't go necessarily tight. You don't want it big, but you need it snug on the hips. I have to do a little more than just step into this to get it on. I think it's the friction of the material that kind of grabs you, which is more than the Ace. The friction of the material as you're sliding it on, it wants to grab onto whatever briefs you're on. Because me and a buddy of mine, real good friend of mine on Facebook, we're discussing back and forth, why don't they make canvas briefs? And I still think that's a genius idea. And he was asking some gear manufacturers, and they said that first of all, a couple of the replies were that canvas on canvas was just too much. And once again, I still think super tight canvas on super tight canvas is definitely too much. you've got to be perfect. There's no margin for error. And that makes all of your warm-ups almost worthless, in my opinion. But I think dragging tight canvas on top of canvas might be really, really difficult to get into place, because it does not want to slide very well. It's a much different, stiffer material than the polys that you're used to. So I do think you need to get it to where it's somewhat tight in the hips. Not tight, snug in the hips. Like a good tight pair of jeans would be. And I feel this tight in my hips. And I think the way these legs are set up, especially over my briefs, I can tighten it down a little bit, and most people should be able to make this work for them if they have odd shaped legs, skinny legs, big legs, actually big legs. I actually get a really good measurement, talk to Joe Jordan, and if any of your measurements are just way off the charts when it's based on height or thighs or hip or waist, you probably need to go by whatever your limiting factor is. But for me, it's going to come down to hips. I can tighten the legs, I can tighten the Velcro straps, and I can make almost anything work for me. Now, somebody did ask what the downside of the canvas is. I think it's just that it's white. My gym, it's extremely dusty. I can sweep and mop in here today and make the place spotless, and it's going to be dusty on Friday. The wind blows in, the sea is right there, the mountains are right there. Everything outside is dirt and sand, so when the wind blows in from the sea, it's going to blow in dirt under the doors. It's going to fill up the room, so your hands are going to get dirty, and the suit is just going to get dirty. So I've got to find a way to properly wash this, or it's eventually quickly going to become brown. I'm a big fan of black, but canvas is notoriously white, and it stands out. Looks great on camera. You can definitely see that my box squats are, you can judge depth a lot easier on a white suit than you can a black suit. I'll tell you that. So are those famous internet depth callers, you're calling depth on a guy wearing a white suit with ginormous legs. You can see everything. He's wearing a black suit with skinny little legs. You can't see near as much. That's my only, I think it's really sexy. It's really sexy, and I really like it a lot. I really like it. I can't imagine why I didn't go with this the moment that it came out. But it's magical, and I love it, and I feel great in it. It hasn't changed my squat. I went straight from Ace to this. I've got Ace briefs on underneath this, sized just like briefs are supposed to be sized. If they come out with canvas briefs, I'm getting a pair immediately. I will pay over market value for the canvas briefs to go under this canvas suit. I like it so much. So I hope that answers some of your questions, guys. It's absolutely worth it. Don't wait till it's on sale, but you can look for a sale date. Contact them and see what they have in sale. If you're thinking about getting it, yes, it is that good. No, it's not that hard to get used to, and I think it's a much more well-rounded suit than any suit I've ever had, and that's a bold statement because I've used Ace suits for more than 10 years, and I've loved them, and I've squatted some really big numbers in them. So here's to my canvas. See you soon, guys.